Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Ask, Learn, Grow, the show where the Reef team answer questions and share updates and insights from the digital marketing industry. I've got SEO manager Rob with me today, and we're going to be talking about site migrations. Rob, this is quite a big, huge topic. I'm guessing we're going to sort of condense it down and focus on a couple of different specific areas. So yeah, do you want to introduce it and tell people what you're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's right. It does happen quite frequently, but from time to time, business owners do go through brand refresh, and part of that process does include redeveloping your website. So it basically comes in three different scenarios. The first one is if a website has a new template and the web structure stays the same. So that basically will just change the look of the website. The second scenario would be if they change their CMS. So if originally they were using WordPress as an example, and they were using Drupal instead. And part of that usually is they would also be changing their website structure as well. The last scenario is if they completely change their URL of their domain. So if they had reefdigital.com.au, and instead they had oceandigital.com.au instead. So that would be a complete change of their domain, which would require them to go through a redirection plan by default. So the scenario 2 and 3 would require a redirection plan, but if you're just changing your template, that doesn't require any kind of mapping of any new URLs. But typically when you're going to change the look, you would probably want to change the content on your page, and as an end result, probably even change your URL structure as well. So it's always good to when you're in that process, to make sure that you're doing it properly, because when you're doing tasks like these, they do require a lot of effort, and you might as well get it done properly. So
it's a good opportunity to review everything, like you say. There's times where the structure and stuff won't change, but if you're reviewing something as big as this, then you might as well sort of use the opportunity and the time and efficiency savings to review everything. So you mentioned about a redirection as well. So why is that so important?
Yeah, so people typically find the redirection as just a task, just pretty much to do just because you have to, but they do sometimes forget the main kind of reasons behind it. And the two kind of main reasons why you do a redirection is, one, to just satisfy a continuous user journey. So if a person is going to a page on your old website, when they do go to that page and it no longer exists, they're not given a 404 error page instead. So they're given a redirection to a relevant page, so you don't get people just bouncing off your website and going to a competitor instead. So that's pretty much the main reason why people do it. But often people forget that a redirection also has SEO benefits as well, and it's what we call page authority. So over time, you build what's called domain authority for your whole website, and that's pretty much includes the content on your page, how old your site is, how much traffic you're getting to your site, but more importantly, how many backlinks are coming to your website as well. So part of that is your page authority. So once you have your domain authority, each page is also given a subset of that domain authority, and it's given its own page authority for each page. So part of that is not all pages on your websites are equally kind of given the same type of authority. So it kind of depends, really, right? So by default, your homepage will be given, most of your authority, but also a subset of maybe your main services or main product page will be given more authority than something like your contact page, as an example, or your About Us page, as an example. Why I'm actually kind of talking through this and telling you about this is when you're doing a redirection, if you're removing these pages, like either your main product page or main services page, and you just don't do a redirect, you're actually forfeiting your authority for that page, and you're kind of, pretty much like starting from scratch again, like if you were to have a new website. So the main reason why we do redirections is that we pass what they call link juice across from your old page that previously existed to a new page that you're just creating right now. So it's very important that we do that, or else you can lose years of SEO optimizations. Simply not doing a redirection. So a lot of people do forget that part.
But had to recover a few of those myself over the years. I'm sure you have too, where the redirects haven't been mapped properly, and the site previously had really strong SEO and great search visibility. New website went live, everything dropped, traffic dropped, search visibility dropped, lost loads of the SEO, and obviously all the benefits that came with that. Then obviously you sort of then they come to you to fix it. What's happened? I wasn't part of the rapid mapping that went wrong. It was kind of part of recovering it, of course. But you kind of it's one of the first things you check, isn't it? The redirects if you kind of encounter a problem like this, and okay, so things weren't mapped. Like you say, the authority that these pages have built up over time, because the redirect isn't in place to the new structure, that authority is lost, and it's almost like a standing start, not quite, but almost for the new one. So obviously that's how the search engine sort of look at it. So very, very, very important to get that bit right from an SEO perspective. The consequences can be quite severe if it's not done properly. Great. Okay. Exactly. So what are some things that you should? Oh, sorry, Rob, were you going to?
It's exactly that's exactly right. You've taken so many years to kind of build up your authority for your domain. It's hard to see that just go away just by not doing one little step of doing a redirection plan. So yeah, completely agree with that.
Cool. What are some things that you should look out for then when you're doing a redirection?
Yeah, so there is quite a lot to kind of say for that, but to kind of put it simply, one of the main things to look at is the redirection plan, which we've kind of discussed right now. So with that, what I would recommend is pretty much just creating a Excel sheet and just having one tab listing all the URLs for your old website, and another column just listing out all the URLs for your new website. So pretty much what you do is you just map out which page is still live and which page is going to become a dead page. And with the dead pages, you pretty much just choose a page on the new website that's relevant that you would want to redirect to. So you pretty much just do that for all the URLs on your site. Typically, if you have a huge website, this can take you a very long time. But if you have some, small business, it should be pretty straightforward to kind of do that. So after you do all of that, depending on what CMS you do have, WordPress is pretty popular. Everyone's pretty much using WordPress these days. But you can use a plugin, like there's one plugin called Redirection, pretty simple. And you pretty much just copy and paste each of the URLs. So you copy and paste the old URL, and then you copy and paste a new URL, and then you create the redirection in the actual WordPress there. Besides that, you have to remember also to copy across your meta tags as well. So, since you're depending on really how you're cloning your old website. So, you can have a scenario where, you might have your old website and you completely started from scratch with a new website. In that case, you just need to make sure that you bring across the content that you want to bring across to the new website, but also don't forget copying across your meta tags as well, because what really Google is expecting is that when it does crawl your new site, it's expecting to have a similar topic on the page, but if it doesn't, and if you're not really kind of showing Google that this is the same topic by either having content on your page or by either having meta tags on your page, then Google is forced to kind of judge your website based upon what it has presently on the page. So that could be bad or that can be good, because if you have half the content than you originally did, then Google's only going to rank you based upon the keywords that you have with only half of that content. And if you don't have meta tags, that's another reason for Google kind of not to trust that you have fulfilled its requirement for writing as much as you can for a certain keyword or certain topic area as well. So after that, pretty much you have what else you need to do after the migration is you just pretty much need to monitor to see how things are going. So basic check, but check if your site is indexed. So I would typically give this a couple of days to maybe about a week, where you would go into Google and just pretty much check to see if your site is still indexed in the search results. So that's a good first step. And also once you do have Google Analytics and Google Search Console, to check if your traffic is either going up or even going down. Usually what happens is that it usually just stabilizes, but depending on how many changes you do, it will kind of depend if your site is going to go either up or go either down, depending on like the amount of changes that you do. That's one thing. And lastly, just make sure that your sitemap is updated. Usually with WordPress, there's Yoast SEO that automatically creates your sitemap for you. There's not much for you to do there. And also check your robots.txt file to make sure that you're allowing your crawlers to actually crawl your new website, because in your robots.txt file, you're given the ability to either allow it to crawl certain sections of your website and disapprove to go to other sections of your website. So redirections is pretty crucial to make sure that you don't drop in traffic. So just make sure you do all those steps, and you'll be fine.
And you mentioned about post-migration as well, and keeping your eye on things. Quite often, post-migration, you might see that sort of your rankings and visibility is a little bit erratic at first. That's because Google's trying to work out, based on the new content and the new site, sort of where it sits in search. So there might be a little erratic period where things are sort of up and down, but don't panic. Let the dust settle first, and then it should, if everything's gone smoothly, it should settle down and find its place again in search, and hopefully that's higher, or at least the same as before the migration.
That's right, yeah.
Cool. That wraps up today's call. If you've got any questions about a site migration or any digital marketing related topics, send them in. We're always happy to help. If you'd like to put a problem or a burning question to the team, please do, and we'll see what we can do for a future video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be notified when the next video is available. Apart from that, thanks all for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.